Welcome, gamers, to the GAU podcast. We are coming at you live from the Microsoft Store in the Prudential Center in the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. I am Eric Rickety Beans Rubino, Senior Editor at GamersRUs.com.
I am Drew Frere, Junior Editor at GamersRUs.com.
I'm some random black guy. I'm Andy Lunique, Event Planner for GamersRUs.com.
I'm Oz, and it's just Sanguinary Oz, professional gamer on staff.
Yeah, Oz is our special guest tonight.
He also brings snacks.
He brought his own water, unlike us.
I did.
He's prepared. Let's jump right into our topic. This week was GDC, as all of us gamers know. Lots of stuff happened, from Project Morpheus to even the Oculus Rift Dev Kit 2. But the main thing I was focused on was a lot of the cool talks. And one of the talks was by Ken Levine, get
it right.
Mr. Levine.
Ken Levine, and he talked about narrative Legos in the building blocks of a story, and how you kind of don't need a plot. You may just need reacting to characters. And then a couple days before that, actually, Tom Abernathy, a narrative lead at Riot Games, I know they're not known for their story, but they have extensive lore.
They used to have lore that came out in a newspaper, but now they don't really have that anymore.
And Richard Rousseau, 3 of Microsoft Game Studios, they discuss narrative in video games as well. And what they found out from data is that people don't really remember the plot in video games. What they really remember is character motivations and characters that they align themselves with. Apparently, not everybody finishes a game, and it was weird scores. Like only 60% of people finish Mass Effect, and only 50% of people finish Portal.
Quitters.
So, I think, what does video game plot really matter? And I think that's where we should start.
Of course it matters. But I'm not going to start. You.
I'm going to start?
Yeah, I'm going to throw it at you.
I'm sure it matters a little bit, but I definitely think you can't dispute that people remember characters a lot more than they remember plot. Like Final Fantasy VII. You can probably name about 6 or 7 characters from that game. Can you name what the plot was of Final Fantasy VII?
I can't name the plot of any Final Fantasy.
Yeah, let's be real here.
But you know all about the
bad.
clouds,
Help us out.
the clouds, the Axles, the Roxas, all these guys, the Black Mage, if you kind of want to go way back.
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite Final Fantasy.
I actually have to be honest, now that you say that, I just remember saving the world. I'm not quite sure why
There's
had
an
to
evil
all of a sudden.
factory involved?
Yeah.
They're making evil there, and you have to stop the factory.
And like Halo, you got like the Covenant, Master Chief, the Flood. What exactly went on there, we're not quite sure. It definitely fades quickly after you've played the game, that's for sure. But while you're playing it, you're like, okay, objective. That's your plot.
See, but I don't think that's necessarily an indicator of whether or not the plot's more important than the characters. It's just whether or not the device is being used. I think one of the big things is if you have a good storyline, people remember it, and they're like, oh, I want to play the next one. Or like, I want to see the next chapter of this story. So I don't think that it's necessarily, I don't agree with Mr. Levine that characters are important and plot isn't. To use an easily approachable metaphor, look at something like Star Wars. So the first Star Wars movie, and I'm talking original Star Wars, so like Episode 4.
Yep.
Cool. So the story is okay. It's basically a remake of Seven Samurai. There's a little nobody that you don't really know, and the universe is in trouble. We need some help, and they get him, and he comes and he saves the day. And people remember the characters, like Vader's amazing, and everybody loves Han Solo and Chewbacca and the droids. Like you love that stuff. But the reason why it's good is because the characters are great. And the story that they deliver is memorable. No one doesn't remember what Star Wars is about. Nobody's like, oh, I just remember there's a hand guy, and there's like a weird guy wearing black armor with a lightsaber, and there's a bunch of laser swords.
He's got asthma.
Everybody remembers that story, even though it's not a great story, because it's presented well. You need both. So I think that, look at the new Star Wars movies. They're garbage. They're terrible. Everybody remembers the characters, but the reason you don't remember the story is because he relied so much on characters that everything else is a throwaway.
It definitely, in the terms of that. What do you think, Andy?
Well, there's games that are out there that deeply need the plot. There's games that are really all about the story, but it depends on how you experience it. I'm going to go back to my old standbys of, Journey, Shadow of the Colossus, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Uncharted. Actually, people remember the plots of all those particular games and what's going on because the characters often. I'll give Beyond Two. I'll give Heavy Rain a Journey and Shadow of the Colossus, the benefit these characters don't really have any dialogue. You know what I mean? So you're essentially just living their life. So the plot around the entire conquest of what you're trying to do really sells the story. So if you really had nothing to go on, depending on how the artist decided to display that particular plot, I mean, then you're kind of lost. So when the characters have nothing to say, nothing to build on, then that's when you rely on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. When the characters don't really have much to say is when you can rely on something that pulls it through. But I can't deny that, like, I didn't really play Last of Us because I really wanted to see what happened next as much as I enjoyed the journey. You know, it wasn't the destination, it was the journey. It's not, I'm going to go here and I'm going to bring aliens, save the world. It was, hey, this is where I am with this character right now, and this is how it's affecting our relationship. And even something like that's kind of like, I mean, just came out, but Infamous, it's not the best story in the world. The main point that I care about is I care about Delsin's motivations, because mainly you caused them, and also, you know, his relationship with Reggie and his relationship with other conduits and his relationship with even the main villain.
And there's an interesting duality
No
here
spoilers.
because we kind of live in like
I mean, tried to avoid them.
Okay, true.
you were treading lightly.
Yeah.
We kind of live in an era where there's like kind of a silent protagonist thing that's really pervading our industry. I mean, look at Gordon Freeman, look at Chell from Portal. They're able to create a really strong story without necessarily characterizing the player too heavily or making someone attached to that person. But what happens to these people really is what characterizes these games. So I think you can kind of go either way when you're developing a game, and it's the balance of the two that really colors your experience.
I agree. I think that realistically for me, I want both. I don't want to have to pick. It's like if you're buying a car and you're like, well, it can go fast or it could have power windows. Like I want both. I don't have to choose. So you look at Mass Effect, as you brought that up earlier. Mass Effect is this fantastic game. The characters are great, like Rex and Liara. Like all the characters are super cool, and the story is great. Like it makes sense and it's linear, sort of. I mean, there's the side missions and stuff, but there's an overarching sort of plot you have to follow, and the other successive games sort of follow that thread. And you want to play them. Like, okay, I'm not going to lie. Like, 3 took me a while to finish because I wanted to make sure everything was perfect so I could get the
And I
ending
don't
that
know how
wanted.
people do that. I honestly don't get how everyone is so meticulous about the game. I'm just like, we need to save the world. Go, go, go. No time for multiplayer.
But you got to set up. Like, if you have to save the world and you need 10 guys, and you're like, well, I don't have time to get 10 guys. I'm just going to go. Like, you're just going to die. And the
Okay,
world
yeah.
loses,
All right,
so.
we can get 10 guys.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be a Mass Effect discussion, but yeah, I need to go at 10
Yeah.
guys, but I don't need to get laid in the process. Just saying.
See, I disagree.
Always time for
I disagree. When I'm playing Mass Effect, I'm like, God damn it, I am Rick Shepard, and I'm going to save this universe, and I'm going to bang every alien in the process.
because I might need to know something that they know.
I like building the relationships. I like gaining the loyalty of people in Mass Effect 2. You know, like I enjoy the characters more than I enjoy the plot of Mass Effect. You know, the plot of Mass Effect you could have threw away and just said, "You're a guy in space, have fun."
Right.
And I think that's
So
what
you mean Doom.
Ken Levine. Yeah. Well, Ken Levine is kind of aiming at his point of you can build these kind of a game based around relationships and relationships only, and that caring about someone is why you will commit a task. I don't need to have to save the universe, but if I could help this village get rid of their whatever goblin scourge, then I might do it because I care about them or something like that.
I think that falls over into like what I call the Call of Duty effect, which is the first couple Call of Duties were great. Like it was a World War II narrative, and there was you had missions you had to do, and it was objective based, and there wasn't really any character development, but the story was linear and it made sense. And then as you get into the more modern ones, like Black Ops and like Ghosts, even like there's some character development. Like it's like, oh, your dad is the head of the Ghosts, and you and your brother are other Ghosts conveniently, and like, but the story
It's unnecessary.
But the story is a joke. Like,
Yeah.
It's
all those
convenient set pieces to be like, hey, here's the next wow moment. We're just giving
jump
you a
out of this
reason.
helicopter, blow away that guy with a grenade launcher. Like,
Yeah.
there's no story to speak of. I hate that. Like, they need to get back into making stories that again, so you don't have to choose. There should be good characters and a good story. It shouldn't be this or that.
And we're touching on an interesting sort of plot device here. We mentioned Heavy Rain, mentioned Mass Effect.
Journey.
A lot of these new games have multiple strings that you can take to create different plot lines.
Yep.
And I think it says a lot about a gamer if, like you said, Oz, you try to set it up for the perfect ending, the one that you want. It's obvious that plot is like a high motivator for you when you're playing.
Absolutely.
Or Andy, who's just like going through the content, wants to do everything, and blunders into whatever ending he gets, which is kind of how I am.
I went through it saying my decisions are my own. There's no going back. I am Shepard, and in real life, I can't take that back or press the reset button. That's why I played the game the way I did.
So you are Shepard, so in a way, you aligned yourself completely with that character more so than with the plot.
Correct.
Renegade or...
I'm really a jerk. I'm really a
Me
jerk.
too.
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't even fix the scars on my face.
Yeah, I'm just, not evil, just necessary.
see, I totally Captain America that. I was like, I'm here to save the universe. Ding. Saved everybody.
It's great.
I guess that's a good indicator what type of gamer you are, if you like the plot or if you like the characterization. Because
Right.
like you, I always interpose myself as this guy, and I'm like, okay, let's see how I'd actually do if I was reincarnated as this man in this universe.
Yeah.
Am I going to save all my friends? Maybe not. Who knows?
I mean, there's some games like Mass Effect that have taught you harsh lessons of if you make this choice, this person will die. And, sometimes you really can't take it back no matter what. I kind of like the fact that that's what we're moving into. Consequences.
Yeah,
Real
that
consequences.
kind of consequence mechanic is great.
Yeah.
And Spec Ops: The Line didn't even give you a choice.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
It gave you choices,
Man.
but in the end, there really wasn't a
No
choice.
choice.
You can have this bad choice or this worse choice. Oh,
It's like, yeah, do you feel like a total jerk? Yeah, because you are.
that was another good game.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So, what is Levine's idea for the future here?
Well, his idea for the future would be kind of a game that has a zero-sum point in it. So what you would do is it would be an RPG. He was saying this isn't what he's necessarily going to physically do, this concept, but he wants to give it out to all these people so everybody can comment on it and say their input. That it'd be like an RPG, and you have, stars of each village in this universe, and the 6 stars will also have, a bunch of macro kind of other just NPCs that will be influenced by these 6 stars is kind of swaying back and forth between their passions. And each character would have 3 passions and then 1 or 2 hidden passions that you could figure out by spending time with them. They would say, oh, you helped me clear that dungeon. Well, I'm going to tell you this secret. I'm really in love with that orc. And then okay, if I kill the orcs, he's going to get mad at that. So you have the passion, and then every time they hit a part in a passion, you gain something from them. So if the elves like to farm and craft, you get 10% crafting bonus. But if you align with the orcs, you're going to get 10% warrior bonus, like strength. And you can't have a positive without having a negative. So if you help the elves, the orcs are going to hate you a little more. And if you help this and that, but you can also mix and match in all separate ways and kind of create like a Game of Thrones of games where you're backstabbing and lying and doing things to please people. And rather than go save the universe, it's kind of welcome to a world.
See, I think that would work, but it would depend on the type of game you were designing and the setting. Maybe he's doing this because he just laid off 95% of his staff, and he's like, we don't have time to write plot also. So.
Well, think about this. How much writing would that take to write all these dialogue choices for whether or not they're slightly happy with you or you did this or that? It would definitely be a big chunk of writing, but it wouldn't be forcing the player down any path. It'd say, hey, you can replay this story-based game multiple times because you can be an asshole in one version and, like you said, Captain America in the other.
Right.
And
Well, I think that's part of the reason why like Skyrim is great. Like, there's not a lot of great characters in Skyrim, but the story's really cool, and the world is so vibrant that you can do whatever you want. Like, there's so many options.
But don't you want to feel the weight of your consequences? I mean, that's where Skyrim fell short for me. I mean, I'm a member of the Dark Brotherhood. I own the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I've got all this Daedric armor. People are like, hey, buddy, how are you?
Yeah.
I mean, a
did
game
you
like,
hear those dragons?
I mean, a game like
yes,
what
I killed
he's
15 of them.
Yeah, a game that he's talking about literally has nearly 9 novels worth of text. I mean, you're going to have to keep on writing for a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different personalities, because then you're not going to be able to connect to everybody if they don't feel as if they actually made an impact in that character's life.
You know what? If I'm paying $60 for a game, they can spend the time to do both.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm more interested in the consequences of what I see here, because what I see Ken Levine referencing here is sort of a new way to game, and I think you touched on it, I think it might be the reason why he dismissed a lot of his studio to get out from under 2K's footprint and sort of go for his own thing. And I think what I see here is you've seen procedurally generated environments like Minecraft, Diablo, Hellgate London even. I see dropping in set pieces and kind of creating a sort of procedurally generated game
Yeah.
or plot even. I think with enough coding genius, which Ken Levine can certainly pick through the industry and find the best guys he wants, you could create a game that's completely different every time, has completely different interactions, and basically it's like a different title every time you start it up. I think a procedurally generated game is the future of gaming. Something that's completely fresh every time you take a shot at it. It'll be
like
amazing.
Choose your own adventure, the video game.
The video game, yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen.
Definitely.
This is why I love GDC. Things like this, that nice, melting pot of the mind happens. I love that.
Well, any closing thoughts we have on this? Anything else anyone wants to touch on?
I don't think so. Write both, but I want characters and story.
Hear that, Ken Levine?
I don't. My closing thought is I'm really sick of feeling like I'm a jerk because I take the evil path.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need to be shot already, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
But you are a jerk, though.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not saying he's tired of being a jerk. He's tired of feeling like a jerk.
There
Yeah,
you go.
feeling
That's
a
actually
jerk for
far more
choosing
accurate.
to
Yeah.
So when you kill the little girl, it'll just say, "You're not a jerk." But you got 60 evil points.
Now the child murderers have bonus of passions for you.
I think there's an achievement for that.
There's a good side to every story, like Eric was saying.
Just saying, kick dog. Hey, with this, dog kicking clan down the road. I'm not sure what you're doing later, bro.
Easy.
All right.
That's the low point.
I think that's the lowest we can end the show. Thank you, gamers, for tuning in. Thank you, Frank and James, for running things behind the board, as always. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Andy. And, of course, thank you to our guest, Oz, for coming in for this discussion about plot. Thank you for playing Killer Instinct in the background. It's not happening right now, but
Well, they're all
it
enjoying
was.
themselves.
It was.
I do want to plug in that we are having a Killer Instinct tournament on April 27th, Sunday at 12 o'clock here at the Microsoft Store, Boston Prudential Mall. $20 entry fee. You have to register online and online only, but there's a very big prize pot coming and some pretty sweet prizes. So I think you should come down if you can destroy people like I got destroyed this Sunday.
Do you win like an orchid costume?
I wish I
Like
could
a
pull that
Glacius
off.
costume?
Let's try.
Now I'm going to find that.
All right, you guys can check us out at gamersarrested.com for more discussions like this about games. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, GAU Studios, for more podcasts and video game shows. That's all I got. Game on.